Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my November 2019 horoscope report for you. This month we have double the sweet aspects compared to the salty ones, and when that happens, it sets a mood for the general transits that's harmonious and happy. And we have Mercury Retrograde, and Mercury in Retrograde brings things from the past back into the forefront. So when we have the combination of sweetness in the stars and Mercury Retrograde, it tends to bring sweet things from the past, happiness from the past, projects from the past, and even work that was done in the past coming to fruition or outcomes coming in a wonderful way. So we have all of that as an increased possibility in store. The mood of the month is very much still dominated by Scorpio because most of the personal planets are putting their energy through that filter, and that means it's a lot of emotional intensity. So it's definitely an emotional month, but it's definitely a good sign that there are more sweet aspects because the chance for breakthroughs are much more likely when that happens. We have Sag energy starting to dribble in, and so Sagittarius tends to show us the light at the end of the tunnel, especially when it's happening amidst this emotional time. So if you've been moving through an emotional tunnel, the Sag light at the end will start to become more apparent, and towards the end of the month that will get stronger and set us up for the Sagittarius party that is going to happen in December. So the mood will definitely start to lighten throughout the month. Something else huge that we have going on is one of my favorite aspects of the whole year, which is the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So we're going to talk about what that can bring in general, and we're also going to zero in on your personal chart to see what field of experience that's going to occur, so you know where extra goodies can be from that aspect. I'll also share that date. I'm going to share with you all of the dates that are challenging, all of the dates that are sweet, so that you can mark them in your calendar. Also, we have Eclipse Rumblings. The eclipses are going to start showing up in big ways. December and January, we have eclipses, but we can often see manifestations, news, trajectory changes from the eclipses at least 4 to 6 weeks before they occur. That's why I always talk about them early, because here in November, we are very likely to see things coming in from that December eclipse. So I'm going to give you more information about that, a lot of information about the eclipse cycle so you can understand it for your patterns and your storylines. And I'll also, again, zero in on where exactly, what field of experience in your chart you will see this eclipse manifest and what kinds of things I've tended to see go along with that. I'm an astrology teacher, so I always use the charts to show you why things may happen instead of just what may happen. So if you want to learn, you're definitely in store for a wonderful learning experience. You can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, to see many more free blogs. I also have tons of other resources on there, including signing up for my free email newsletter, which gets you a general transit write-up of all the dates, all the aspects that are notable, and what you can expect from them 1 month early in your inbox. And if you love how I teach and you want to learn, you can see my astrology apprenticeship program at anniehelpsyou.com, as well as my other offerings. And definitely check out my book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, a wonderful spiritual companion for anyone who's seeking and who wants to create the life of their dreams. So you can go to radicalprayerbook.com. So let's see what the stars have in store for you. Hello, Leo friends. Okay, so many of the things I talk about will be true for all Leo placements, but there will be times where I drill down and get much more specific, and so you'll want to know where in the Leo spectrum you are. So early degree are basically the July born, or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle are around August 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees. And late is around August 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. If you have a Leo moon, Leo rising, or Leo sun, this report is for you equally. I always recommend watching the reports for your rising and your sun at least. For those of you who want to go in more details, the moon will give you additional placements, because the sun chart, the moon chart, and the rising chart, which is also known as the ascendant or your natal chart, really, are all windows out of the total experience, or out of where you are energetically, windows out of your experience, so that you see what's going on through different perspectives. And they're all true at the same time. Okay. So We're going to go over three major things. The first is I want to talk about the general transit movements and how they affect Leo through mathematical connection. So what they're likely to bring. I want to talk about my favorite, well, really one of my favorite dates of the whole year, the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, what that can bring, when it is, and what area of your life will be additionally enhanced. And then I'm going to talk about the eclipse. That's going to definitely start bringing news and action and information coming in starting in November. Okay, so the first thing is that we have a lot of energy in Scorpio still. And this Mars is going to get into Scorpio towards the end of the month. And in general, this is a 1, 2, 3, okay, 3 signs away. 30 degrees is in each sign. 30 times 3, 90 degrees. So when planets are in Scorpio, they're making 90-degree aspects with Leo. 90-degree aspects are the ones that I call the diamond-making aspects, because when a diamond is made under the earth, it's made with a tremendous amount of pressure. And 90-degree angles apply that. So you'll have some application of intense emotions. Either your emotions, people around you will be emotional, and emotional topics are likely to come up. And because of that emotion, you will either have to look at things that you've been avoiding, or you'll have to hold space for people who are going through these things in order to really show up. In any case, it will probably be uncomfortable, but at the same time, it will very likely be very spiritually and otherwise productive, because Leo is an action-oriented energy. And when you have emotion and action coming together, they don't blend very well in general, because you just want to, feel the creative force, take the action, do what has to be done. And then when emotions come, they can feel like maybe they're slowing you down. And so you have to take the time to feel. Now, it doesn't mean that all of these emotions are going to be bad or difficult per se. They could be happy emotions that you just have to leave the room for to be with properly. But in any case, it will be an emotional month. But because there are double the sweet aspects compared to the salty ones, the odds of some harmony and grace coming in, even with this pressure, is more likely. So we've got about 12 sweet aspects and about 6 salty ones. Okay, so that's giving like a nice, harmonious month in general. So if you're not afraid to slow down a bit, you could really smell some beautiful flowers. All right, so the other dominant force this month is Sagittarius, and this is secondary. It will become more dominant in December because Scorpio is the primary energy right now. But Venus is going to go through the whole sign of Sag, and then Jupiter is going to finish out its Sag transit, and then Mars, of course, is in an air sign, and then these other planets, the sun is going to wind up getting into Sag towards the end of the year. To the end of the month, which is, I guess, we're kind of at the end of the year, right? But in any case, all of these things I just listed will make sweet aspects for Leos. So even though you've got some pressure, some emotions, some things going on, all of these placements are going to make sweet aspects for you. And those will enhance your fiery nature, will enhance your creativity, will enhance your gusto and your vibrance and your inspiration and your enthusiasm. So those things are being introduced. And really, I guess we can kind of say that because of that Libra placement, the emotional forces and the fire active or air forces are pretty much equal. So you kind of got a half and half here between the emotion and then the other sweet aspects. And then the tiebreaker, of course, is the majority of sweet aspects in the sky. So I think we're going to err on the side of happier. Now, of course, my disclaimer with that is we're looking at general transits, and we can get a lot of specific information that can be helpful. But I can't see your chart. If you have like a chop busting aspect going on in your chart that's just like having some really negative effects on you, you might be having that as a predominant experience, and all of these other things will just be static along the side, you know, so we don't know how each person is going to have an experience in a certain period of time, but all these things I'm sharing are factors that are true. They just might be dwarfed by other things, or these may be the superseding factors, you know, which we can't see. But in any case, I like it for Leo, especially Leos who are ready to do their work and ready to slow down a bit to feel. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about is my favorite aspect here. When Jupiter and Venus get to 28 degrees of Sag, they will be together. For everyone in the cosmos, every Leo placement, what this can bring is an expansion. Jupiter represents expansion and also luck and expansion in Venus, love, beauty, money, self-esteem. So to understand this aspect better, let's understand my Grandma Marge. I haven't talked about her in a while. If you've been watching my reports for a while, chances are you've heard about my Grandma Marge and how she is very much like the embodiment of the archetypal energy of Venus. Okay, so remember that these planets are people. They're archetypal energies. And the more you can understand them as people, the more you can understand the potentials when they start to combine in different ways. So Grandma Marge, when she would see me, she would kiss me on the mouth. This is a typical Italian family greeting. Okay, she'd tell me how beautiful I am, how wonderful, compliments. She'd give me some money. She'd stick a meatball in my mouth. So sustenance, comfort, compliments, acknowledgement, recognition, kisses on the mouth, love, money, all Venus friends. And so we have Jupiter, the great expander, in, you know, the sign of the great benefic, Sag, the luck, that just expands luck for everybody, all the potential. Now, additionally, let's look at where this is happening, field of experience this is happening. Okay, so this aspect of Venus and Jupiter will be happening at 28 degrees, which will be towards the end of this fifth house. So early fifth house, middle fifth house, and late fifth house. Okay, so all early, middle, and late degree placements can see additional benefits from this aspect in the fifth house, which has to do with romance. So Venus is already covering love, but you get extra romance potential boost, and that's either within your relationship or dating or something like that. And also remember, since we have a lot of aspects from the past, there could be a tilt to the past. Think something coming back from the past, a person coming back from the past, a spark coming back from the past. Pregnancy, anything involving childbirth and rearing. Pregnancy, you know, from the conception, pregnancy, the birth, child rearing, anything having to do with kids, children, breakthroughs with kids, sweet things with kids, your kids or other people's kids, projects, you know, for children. And it's also a bucket list house, I call it. So maybe money comes in to do something you've always wanted to do, or maybe something you've always wanted to do is scheduled for this time, and this is the harmonious manifestation. Early degree placements, you may possibly see a smidge of this in the sixth house. So work, office dynamics, health, pets, your routines. And the late degree placements, there's possibility for some of this energy in the fourth house, which has to do with home and family, real estate, house projects, things like that. Okay, so the third thing that I want to talk about has to do with the eclipses. So you'll notice that the same areas are being accentuated by the Jupiter-Venus energies as with the eclipse energy. So 4 degrees of Capricorn is the eclipse. It is happening December 25th or 26th, depending on your time zone. We are talking about it now because we often see 4 to 6 weeks before manifestations. So there's like activity, news, you know, occurrences, things, often 4 to 6 weeks before. So all of November is prime time for eclipse news. So early degree placements, 5th house, middle, also the 5th house, and late, also the 5th house. Okay, so now early degree placements, there's also the chance you may see this in the 6th house. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop in a lesson about this particular Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycle, when it started, when it ends, where we're at in the cycle, all the dates in the whole eclipse cycle where these things occurred, so you can kind of look out and see where important things might have occurred with a continuum of a storyline. I'll also talk about when in the past, the last time we experienced this, so you can look back to the things that happened then and see, what types of themes came up. So I'm going to drop in that segment about this particular eclipse cycle and this eclipse, where it is in there and what kind of things I see. Then I'm going to drop in a fifth house explanation of how I've seen eclipses manifest. So this is coming from the perspective of looking at thousands of charts and live readings, training people to become astrologers, watching horoscope or watching eclipses through the horoscopes from doing, and following, creating the horoscopes. And so I will have a segment on the fifth house. And so all early, middle, and late degree Leos are likely to see manifestations in somewhere in these details I'm going to drop in. And then for you early degree placements, so if you're basically like a July born Leo or 0 to 10 degrees, you may also see this in the sixth house additionally besides the fifth house. So there'll be a segment on how I've seen sixth house eclipses manifest. Then after that, I will drop in my segment on the general transits, which will include the dates of the sweet aspects, the dates of the challenging aspects, some info on the transit of Mercury, which is a very rare occurrence where Mercury crosses in front of the sun and you can see it in the path. So those are the things that are to follow. Okay, so here is my overview for the Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycles. It's always helpful when we're having an astrological cycle that is relevant at the current time to think back to when it happened before, and also to just kind of understand when it's going to happen again in the future. So the last time the Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycle occurred was between 2009 and 2011. And the next time it will happen after now, because we're in it now, is between 2027 and 2029. So what I have here, I'm going to give you a quick overview and timeline of this cycle and show you what we still have left to kind of understand the timeline. The reason why it's important to understand these dates is because there is a storyline that is taking place over the time from the beginning of the eclipse cycle till the end. And the themes were introduced around the time, sometimes a little early, before, so around, July of 2018 or a little bit sooner, the themes that came up, that are going to come up and be present this whole time, started to come up. And then at the end of the cycle, many of the things will have resolved or shifted or come to a conclusion or whatever that turns out to look like. The reason why I spend so much time and energy in the reports where the eclipse energies are more present is because they tend to bring dramatic conclusions, amazing, brilliant new openings, a shuffling around of energy in a very intense, notable way with major trajectory shifts. And because of this, usually at that period of time, things are going on and people are looking around and saying, what the heck is going on? People around me are going through these massive changes. I'm going through changes. Or sometimes you're a space holder for someone else going through changes and not the one having them. But it's like there's something that seems like it's, in the air, and it literally is in the sky, and it is literally down into our experience. So there's this massive shuffling around of energy. So that law that says matter is not created nor destroyed, or can't be created nor destroyed, it simply changes form, is very much evident at eclipse time. So things will be taken away from a certain area, so they'll be eclipsed out, and then energy will be added in to a new area where these new openings will come as things are crossed out. So that's the typical just general storyline. So as we get closer, and I usually use 4 to 6 weeks before and after each actual eclipse date as the hot spot, I call it, for the eclipse news. But anything related to any of the themes that are going on for this eclipse cycle can happen during any of this time. It doesn't have to be only right near the hot spots, but the odds are greatly increased that news, events, changes, breakthroughs, openings, closes will occur as we're closer to these dates, and that's why they're important. Okay, so July 2nd, 2018, then January 5th, 2019, and then the most recent ones before now were July 2nd and July 16th. If you want to go back to understand those eclipses and try to make more sense of things that occurred then, you can find the information about what house, meaning field of experience for your sign, the eclipses hit for, okay? So basically, the Cancer Capricorn polarity brings tendencies for certain changes to all signs, and they would have to do with the energy of Cancer and the energy of Capricorn. So every sign has had an increased chance of a lot of shuffling around, notable changes, drama, conclusions, new beginnings in the house of home and family, and in the energy of work and your place out in the world, and the dynamic and push and pull between those places, and energies of mother and father and parenting and maternal energy and paternal energy and your inner authority, your outer authority. Every sign has been having storylines from this eclipse cycle in those polarities. But when it's eclipse time, I also drill down into the houses that they occur for each sign. And that gets even more specific about how it affects you when you were born, what your rising sign is, what your moon sign is. You can look at these reports to drill it down even further. Okay, so for the July eclipse, if you look at my June report, and this is 2019, you can get more insight into that. And then for the July 16th eclipse, again, these happened already, but sometimes retrospectively going back to have understanding is helpful. You can see my July 2019 report for that. Now, bringing us to the present time, we're in the November report, and I am going to be talking about this December 25th eclipse. Depending on your time zone, that might actually happen on the 26th, but in either case, it's at 4 degrees of Capricorn. So to follow this general drop-in, I'm going to show you where in your personal charts this eclipse is going to hit and what things you can expect with that. Then probably the December report I'll devote to talking about Jupiter moving into Capricorn. There is a chance I might talk about the January of 2020 eclipse in the December report, but I'm not sure yet. So, check out the December, and then definitely know by the January report I will be telling you where this January 10th eclipse will be hitting for you. And then the last eclipse has happened. So you see I have these kind of grouped this way because this is one set, and then this is the last set here, in June and July of 2020. So those dates will end out this whole cycle, and things that began here will be getting wrapped up, moving along. And so you can kind of understand that where we're at. So the story in many cases is not done yet. Maybe there will be some kind of conclusion or final chapter that occurs, and then maybe, these ones here are the integration time or follow-up things or something like that. But for the most part, we're in a storyline that's still in process. And regardless of the finality or the occurrences that happen at this time, probably we're going to need until the end of this cycle in order for us to see the conclusion of the story that we are almost done with. So now I'm going to show you the charts of your particular sign and show you what houses or fields of experience this December 25th, 26th eclipse is going to occur, and what themes specifically you can expect with that. Eclipses tend to bring drama, fruition, major closings, major openings, major trajectory shifts, surprises, or accomplishments along the lines of things that were already in process. At eclipse time, things tend to be eclipsed in, and other things tend to be eclipsed out. When there's an eclipse in the 5th house, or Leo, there's often a major focus on children. This can be, work with children, whether they're your own or others. It can be anything along the process of pre-pregnancy, conception, pregnancy, birth, child rearing, relationships with children. The creativity process is also ruled, and so the idea of a creative project with, for many people, creative projects are their babies, even those who have other children. So this energy of creativity, having a conception of an idea, following it through, birthing it, taking care of it. So I often see a new project come in or a previous project get moved along in a big way, including, being birthed out into the world. I see things having to do with hobbies, like a return back to something that you love. Or sometimes a hobby coming into the forefront is a possibility to make money with it. Anything having to do with bringing fun or childlike wonder into life. Sometimes something could happen to someone that that makes you start thinking, wow, I better have fun now, right? Because life is fragile and maybe the fun ratio is not enough. And for others, maybe an addiction to pleasure or too much of fun and irresponsibility could come up as a factor where you start to streamline, changing how you have fun, changing what fun is to you, things like that. So an old way of doing fun can be eclipsed out and a new way of doing fun can come in. Talents and even hidden talents. So anything where you would stand on a stage and people would look at you for the good stuff that you do, singing, dancing, fashion, anything where you're on display, music, athleticism, being, leading a group, something like that, acting, modeling, things like that. Things where you have something that's special and people look at you because of that or listen to you because of that. So those can be brought up. So you might find a hidden talent in an eclipse cycle, something that you didn't know that you were good at. So it definitely is important during this time to take those nudges. If there's something you always wanted to do or something that keeps coming up, to just try it, because it may result in you finding something you really, really love or that you're really, really good at. Anything having to do with leadership, being seen, your role as a director or a creative director, the energy of your personal creative flow coming in a bigger way, where you figuring out what that is. Many people have been so focused on what other people need and what they're supposed to do that they've strayed away from what they actually love. So this can be a time where you start to take ownership of your own creative juices and getting those out into the world. And really just this energy of being seen in multiple ways. So maybe clearing some vows where you vowed to not be seen for various reasons. So children may need more attention. If there's some things or patterns that are continuing to come up, this may be the time when they actually have to be dealt with. This can also be a time of stepping into a new awesome chapter with kids. And any of these other things that we spoke about are very likely to come into the forefront. So a really great way to use the energy of this time is to make a commitment to your creativity and make a commitment to the things that really light you up. This Leo energy is ruled by the sun. So anything that just makes you feel on fire is something that comes into the forefront, either to do more of or to come into more balance with. Eclipse time tends to bring drama, fruition, major changes, major trajectory shifts, things that are surprises, things that are, moving along a continuum that you've been working on, so a major fruition. So basically, it's a very active time of change and emotion. When there's an eclipse in the 6th house or in Virgo, health is a very big focus. For some people, this will actually result in a health crisis. If there's something that's been undercover that has not been in the light or that you have not been aware of, sometimes that can be brought to light. For others, it could be movement along a continuum of the health practices or of diagnosis or of solutions or something where there's something notable. Finding of a perfect practitioner doing labs or diagnostics, and getting into a healing or wellness routine. So anything having to do with finding a new practitioner, whether it's in the mainstream path or the alternative path, finding a new modality has a major impact, finding a new, practitioner. And this can also have to do with one's own wellness path turning into a practitioner path. So you stepping into wellness as a practitioner, because this house and this sign also rules work, your vocation. It's partly related to the vocation. And if you are in any of those lines of work, medical, alternative, or mainstream, then work can be highlighted as a major sector, major closings in your work of how you do your work, major openings in how you're shifting into the next level of your work, if you've already started this process. New gym memberships, new diets, things that rule your daily experience in yoga practice. Yoga is in here, meditation, acupuncture, all of that. Surgeries, any kind of procedure that's medical. Getting into the details of a bigger picture. So this time often will give you a download or a necessity from the outside or an impetus from the inside to start to work on the details and get a system together for your life, like even where you put your keys when you come in, how you do your maintenance on your vehicles and home, just everything, the systems on which everything in your life runs, those can be called into question and brand new routines can come. I see this happen or manifest a lot in either moving or a temporary lodging or going somewhere else or changing a job or, something major happening to your life where what your daily routine is changes in a big way. I also see pets being highlighted at this time. Sometimes a new pet comes in. Sometimes a current pet needs more attention, or you have more time and focus, or you start, a new training regimen with them, or something related to pets. Your pets could have some symptoms, and definitely at this time it would be important to follow up with those things because things undercover tend to come out at this time. And sometimes there's a transition for a pet, whether it's going into a different home or whether it's, transitioning out of body. So things involving pets and other animals. Sometimes people who work with animals will see, this manifestation show up along those fronts, people in the veterinary field, people doing healing work, equine therapy. And again, there could be this thing having to do with you wanting to do your wellness for work and moving along that process. One of the most important things at this time is to not ignore your symptoms or your pet's symptoms. Symptoms in eclipse season are showing us the things that are brewing undercover, and paying attention to them and being proactive could make for an easier process and even better outcomes. Decluttering and organizing in a big way, like doing some sort of major process. One of my favorite resources for this is The Magical Art of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. She also has another book called Spark Joy. Things like that, where there's a system for organizing your life. And she talks about organizing your things in these certain ways. She has a method where you'll never have clutter again if you stick to this. And also helping you to release things, like the process by which you release things, judging on whether they spark joy for you or not. So bringing clarity and coherence to your surroundings is a big piece of this. And, there are many ways that can happen. There could be someone or something in your environment that is bringing less coherence. And they could be, that could be eclipsed out, or something could be shifted, or you could have a major inner shift that could drastically change how you structure your external environment. Supplement regimens and other daily practices, including spiritual practices, can also come in a big way during a 6th house or Virgo eclipse cycle. So someone could find a meditation practice and really get into it, or go deeper into it, or anything like that, where it could come in a big way if it's brand new, or it can end and shift into something else. Anything that has to do with our daily experience. Okay, so I'm going to give you the visuals on the general transits that will affect all signs for November 2019. And definitely remember that what I'm giving you here is a summary of some of the things to watch out for. If you want a more complete written list of the general transits that are most notable and the energies and potentials that go along with them, delivered into your inbox 1 month early, then definitely go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. And at AnnieHelpsYou.com, you can sign up for my free email newsletter. Annie Helps You, that's supposed to say YOU. It's not legible. Then you sign up for my free email newsletter, and I will send you a written report about this general transit energy a month beforehand, so that you have it for your planning purposes and you have it, as a visual. Okay, so like I mentioned, the first thing to know about this month is that there are around 12 awesome aspects and around 6 more challenging ones. So whenever we have a month where there's like double the nice ones compared to the challenging ones, then it sets a tone for the month that is super sweet. Now, as I always give this disclaimer, I will give it again. The general transits are just that. They're general. They're happening. This is one layer of absolute truth that is occurring for everyone. But your personal chart, the way the planets are hitting in your actual chart, which we can't see a lot of that. We can see the sun sign, the rising sign in the horoscopes, but there are all these planets here in your chart. And the way that the current planetary arrangements are hitting all of those planets for you could cause you to have a different experience than is the general theme or mood. Okay, but now back to speaking about this general mood. It's super sweet because we have so much more of this sweet aspect energy. The second very important thing to remember, and we'll look at this in the chart, is that Mercury is going retrograde. I talked in detail about Mercury retrograde in October because I always talk about things early because we feel them happening early. So between October 31st or November 1st, depending on your time zone, Mercury is actually going to start its retrograde process. On October 12th, it started its pre-shadow or its pre-transit shadow period. So every day from October 12th through the 31st, we were going deeper into the energies of Mercury retrograde, which is why I talked about them in the October reports. But now, on these days, it's actually occurring. Okay, so this Mercury is going to go back. Now, again, you see this, we're not looking at, we're looking at not the house configurations for this chart because we're not looking at a certain sign. We're just looking at the mathematical relationships between the planets. So this reading is for everybody. So Mercury is going to go back from 27 degrees of Scorpio back to 11 degrees of Scorpio. And so if you have any placements that are between 27 and 11 degrees, that especially in mathematical, connection to Scorpio, then is going to be more intense for you. And I did talk about more of those details in the October reports for all signs, but just to kind of, have a guideline here. Since it stays retrograde until November 20th, the whole mood of the month has to do with things from the past. Now, some new things can pop through, but there's going to be this strong theme of energies from the past. So I'm calling it sweetness from the past because there's so much sweetness and the energy is tilted, backwards. Now, we also talked about the fact that there are eclipse rumblings, and there are because as early as November, you may start to see some eclipse news come in. But you can definitely look to the the sign reports, individual sign reports for November to see where they're going to hit for each of your signs, and also have an overview of this eclipse cycle. The days of the sweet aspects. Okay, so we'll put our big smiley face here. Okay, so November 3rd, 8th, 9th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. Sometimes the energies from the transits that happen on a certain day can be felt before or after that day. So don't hang your hat too closely to the exact day, but just kind of know that there's a lot of sweetness around the days here. The challenging ones are on the 5th, 11th, 14th, 20th, 24th, and 26th. You notice how sometimes the same day will have either an aspect that could go either way or multiple aspects, one that could be sweet and one that could be salty. You see that happening actually on the 24th too, and also on the 11th. The 24th of November is one of my favorite days of the whole year, because it is the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. And this is very potentially expansive to love, self-esteem, money, blessings, luck, just amazing things coming out of the blue. In this case, since the energies are in Sagittarius, which is, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so there's some extra energy of Sag in this storyline. There's even potential for more luck, since Sagittarius rules good luck and expansion and things involving education and publishing and traveling and learning and teaching and spiritual evolution. So definitely put a nice big star in the days around here. Now, do remember, of course, like we talked about, there is also a salty aspect on the 24th and 26th. So those things could also be happening, but this is still a pretty powerful aspect to note. Something else really important to note as well is November 11th. November 11th has an aspect that day. The Sun in Scorpio is conjunct Mercury. Okay, so then that day, this and this will get together and amplify each other's energy, bringing potential intensity for better or worse. But occurring on that same day is a very rare transit of Mercury. Okay, so this only happens around 13 times in a century. And the next times they'll happen will be 2032 and 2039. For your reference to think back, if there was anything notable that occurred for you, the last time this happened was May 9th, 2016. It also happened November 8th, 2006, May 7th, 2003, November 15th, 1999. So sometimes it's really helpful to be able to go back and see if periods of time had something noteworthy for you, because sometimes that can help you better understand how the energy may manifest. So basically with the transit of Mercury, for a short time with a telescope, you can actually see Mercury, tiny, very tiny, crossing over the path of the Sun. So that's a pretty cool astronomical occurrence, but it also turns out to be energetically a very cool astrological occurrence. And so, it just can add to the intensity. Mercury rules news and travel and communication and devices for that. So breakthroughs in communication, really big news, really big physical shifts, things like that could be prominent at this time. Okay, so those are the things most on my mind, just to give you a summary of this month of the general transits. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, because you can see more about what I do in that newsletter is all of these dates that I list I tell you what the aspect is and what kinds of energies tend to go along with them. So I have these all itemized out. Okay, also if you want more information about the month, I do also do written horoscopes at cozybysweetstarlight.com. And they're often talking about different things than I talk about in the videos. Okay, so Cozy by Sweet, this is all one URL, starlight.com. You can get monthly horoscopes, again, around a month early on there to get more information, and you can go to anniehelpsyou.com in order to get more blogs. And actually on Cozy, there are also lots of other astrology blogs, astrology for wellness blogs, and other positive lifestyle blogs. And at anniehelpsyou.com, I have lots of astrology blogs for the full moon, for the new moon. So I put together lots of things for you to be able to make the most of the energetic potentials. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com to check out all of my free blogs. You can also check out my Astrology Basics and Beyond course if you want to learn the basics of astrology. If you want to go into an insane amount of in-depth astrology wonder, then you can check out my astrology apprenticeship program that can teach you how to use astrology for anything from self-development, helping yourself, helping your friends and family, to being a professional astrologer full on. I can help you with that. You can check my course out at anniehelpsyou.com. I also have a coach certification course. I also have a creating successful online business course that teaches you how to create an online presence and funnel that presence into your paid services so that you can roam free as a bird like I am. You can see I'm in a random place recording because I'm traveling and trying to get these recordings done for you. So you can see all of that at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely check out my husband B.R. Newman's site, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. He is going to soon have a tarot companion guide, an astrology companion guide that serve as your helpers in your study process as well, plus other cool offerings that he has there and a lot of free stuff as well. Go to see my book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life in the World in 28 Days. It has become a beloved bedside companion and purse and card-toting companion to my fellow spiritual seekers. So I have heard. So you can see that at radicalprayerbook.com. If you love my shirt, this was sent to me by an amazing woman with an artist with a beautiful story. And she creates these awesome astrology design garments and all kinds of other designs as well. So you can see her story. These are also all hand stitched by adults in Canada. So you can check that out in the notes below this video. So when you click on the ... or more, all of my websites will be there. The link to see more about these designs will be there. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.